Call the meeting to order at 6:33 p.m. Madam Clerk, if you would, please.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by forwarding a copy to the Courier News, Star Ledger, and posting on the Township website at least 48 hours prior to the meeting, all in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice of this meeting.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Foster.
Here.
Mrs. Illis. Mr. Machado.
Here.
Mr. Maderos. Mr. Moran.
Here.
Mrs. Pogue.
Here.
Mayor Devaney.
Anybody else? Okay, please stand for flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. Okay. First thing out of the gate, we're gonna start with our conference sessions.
Switch to.
Yeah. I think that's it, right? Okay, first we're gonna do the debt presentation by NW Financial. Floor is yours.
Thank you for having me, Heather Litzbauer from NW Financial. We've been doing. My time's up.
That's all right.
We've been doing a debt presentation like this, I believe since 2019, and updating it on an annual basis. So the council and the public are up to date on what you're financing on an annual basis, and where it looks like from a tax impact perspective. And then also the plan was always to use the pilot revenues that were coming in from the various projects to offset the debt service of the municipal complex and any other debt that you have outstanding. So on the first slide, we have a summary of the current outstanding debt. As far as bonds, our long-term bonds are concerned, the township has $33.8 million outstanding. There's various different maturity dates on that. Your 2016 bonds mature in 2027, so that'll be coming off the book shortly. You also have some long-term New Jersey infrastructure loans. Those loans are advantageous for municipalities because they're 50% interest free. So whenever you can take advantage of that and have a qualified project, it's worthwhile to look at that financing option. So you have $1.4 million outstanding in those loans. And then as far as short-term debt is concerned, we just rolled over one of your notes and issued new money with that in March. So the 2026 bond anticipation note is for just over $8.5 million, and that matures on March 25th, 2027. So on an annual basis, the CFO and the financing professionals, we look and see whether it makes sense to permanently finance that debt or to roll over those notes. So your total outstanding principal is approximately $43.8 million in debt. And in New Jersey, you're allowed to have the maximum allowable debt percentage that you can have is 3.5%. Times your average of your last 3 years equalized valuation. At the end of 2025, your net debt percentage was 1.27%. So you're well below your maximum allowable debt. If we look to the next page, it's just a chart of what your debt service looks like on an annual basis. So you can see that debt starts dropping off after 2028. So that's typically when we would look to take your bond anticipation notes and turn them into bonds, long-term debt, so it doesn't affect the budget. If we move on to the next slide, the summary of the capital needs, the typical ongoing capital expenses for the township is roads, drainage, various equipment, and then ongoing maintenance to the wastewater treatment plant. And just to give you a summary of the note issuance that was priced in March, Jeffries was the winning bidder at a net interest cost of 2.389%. Rates have risen in the short-term market, so it was very good that we sold in the middle of March. issues with Iran and some other things have played a role into rising interest rates on the short-term market recently. That note issuance rolled over 2,365,000 from your 2025 bond anticipation notes. And then $6,164,000 was added new money for a total of $8,528,000. In your 2026 proposed budget, the capital plan is for approximately $14.2 million. That consists of approximately $1.55 million in authorized debt, and that's for roads, curbing, sidewalks, drainage, wastewater treatment plant upgrades, and various equipment. $6 million for an infrastructure bank project for electrical upgrades. So that would be a 50% interest-free loan, like I mentioned before.
Can I just ask where those projects are, the electrical upgrades, is that not for here, the building?
It's for the wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
5.9 million of capital would be funded through grants, so something that you don't have to pay back, which is always nice to see. And then $830,000 from the capital improvement fund, which is part of your budget and I think already funded. On the next page, we have a summary of your existing and projected debt service. On the left-hand side, we have the $35 million of outstanding bonds. And then when we move over, you'll see the interest costs for the 2025 bands that we just paid. And then in 2026, the interest costs in 2027 for those notes that were just issued. You do have a infrastructure bank loan that is about to be permanently financed for 2024 sewer projects. So we put a projection in for debt service for that. And then another $6.3 million sewer I-bank project from 2024. And then the next column, $10,073,000 for bonds, is basically the rollover, taking the rollover of the notes from 2026 and adding your new money that's authorized in debt, $1.5 million, and assuming we convert those into bonds next year. Obviously, we'll revisit it next year, but this is sort of a projection of what the debt service would look like. And then we added in $6 million of sewer I-bank projects, the sewer I-bank project that's authorized in the proposed budget. And then we assumed issuing $2.5 million of debt service through 2028 for new capital projects. And then after 2028, dropping it down to $2 million. That's something that we've been looking at over the last 5 years for your capital plan. So we projected out what that debt service looks like. And then blended in some permanent financing scenarios based on debt dropping off, just so you could see what the projections look like. Obviously, these will change every year, but you have debt dropping off the books as things mature. Slide 6 just gives you the assumptions of the table we just discussed. So you have that in more detail. I just went over most of the assumptions. And then if we move on to slide 7, an update on the redevelopment projects that offset debt service. There are 6 redevelopment projects that were contemplated to offset debt service. The Madeira at Berkeley Heights, Berkeley Terrace, the Claris, Woodcrest, Berkeley Crossing, and Berkeley Crossing 2. All of the projects, construction-wise, are completed, so you're receiving full pilot revenue now. And over the 30 years, for the 6 projects, it's expected to produce $88.8 million of incremental revenue to the township, and that's from 2022 through 2054.
We have to mention that now the Claris is called Berkeley House, is it not important?
Yeah, Berkeley House, that's the name for it. Berkeley House, yeah. There's two additional redevelopment projects. They're not, they don't have pilot agreements. They're getting conventional taxes. That were also contemplated to use those, tax revenue to offset debt service. And that's Connell Park and the carriages at Berkeley. Connell Park, a portion of their project was completed in 2026. However, it was not completed prior to the October deadline of your assessed valuations coming out. So you will be receiving a portion of the revenue in 26. It's just very hard to determine what that is. So for this analysis, we just assume $0 in 2026 for Connell, but you will be getting a small portion of revenue. And then the carriages at Berkeley, the construction commenced in 2022, and then it was completed, but part of it was completed in 24, and then the remaining in early 2025. And over those, over 30 years, those two projects are expected to produce approximately $20.8 million to the township, and that's the township portion of the property. The the school district and the county will be receiving taxes for those as well. And just to give you an indication of where that is, for the carriages in 2026, that's approximately $837,000 to the school district. And for Connell, the projection for 2027 is about $900,000. So if you go to slide 9, we gave you a 30-year projection of what the revenues look like coming into the township for the 6 redevelopment projects, and then Connell Park and the carriages at Berkeley. So you'll see over 30 years, about $104.5 million is a projection. On an annual basis, we assumed a 2% increase in the pilot revenues and a 2% increase in the taxes for Connell and the carriages. And then the last slide is just taking your existing and projected debt service, comparing that to the pilot and the 2 conventional projects, and seeing what that looks like from a net debt service. In 2025, there was $3.2 million net debt service after pilot revenues. So it's been the next couple of years, there hasn't been an increase in debt service when you compare it to the revenues that you're using to offset. But then in 2029, there's a $34,000 potential increase, which is about a 0.22% change in your budget, which looking at that as a tax impact would be $5.95 for the average taxpayer.
What does that bump due to? The cause of that 34,000?
It's just when you look at the one column, the net debt service after pilot revenue, your highest year was in 2025 last year at 3.28 million. So when you look at 2029, there's a 34% increase.
Okay.
All the other years is less than 2029, so there isn't a tax impact.
Now it's much clearer to me.
Well, I just threw a lot of numbers at you.
A lot of
So,
numbers.
if you have any questions, let me know.
Go.
Thank you.
Okay. We're gonna get the meat and potatoes of the 2026 municipal budget presentation.
Yes, thank you, Council President Foster. Sorry, Beth.
You taking questions?
Oh,
on-
sorry.
Are we taking questions on what Heather talked about? I don't believe you do that, right? After it's done? After everything's done? Or is that, is that?
We can go, what? Did you have a question, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not an accountant.
Play one on TV.
Hey, I'm just curious, when you talked about Connell, and I'm looking at these numbers, Connell doesn't pay as much as other places. Is there a reason for that? If I understand the pilot,
They don't have a pilot.
they don't have a pilot,
No.
but everything they do is redevelopment.
It's straight taxes,
Straight taxes and all,
Commercial taxes.
2 11-story buildings.
whatever they are. Yeah.
Okay,
And that's just the township portion of the taxes.
right,
So they would be paying the school district taxes and the county taxes as well.
okay. Appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to the municipal budget presentation, now, and I'm gonna attempt to talk. I'll actually have, with me here is our CFO, Diane Sherry. Diane, if you want to give a quick introduction while I figure out the technology here.
Our overall budget, as we'll go into further detail, has a tax increase of 2.1%. Our total appropriations are 35 million pretty much. And we try to adapt and incorporate all of our needs to support the budget, to support the running of the township. However, as always, we run into appropriation caps, so therefore some of our needs and wants were kind of curtailed, and it's pretty much a bare bones budget and Liza.
Okay, here we go.
There we go, the prepared stuff.
We're like a 2-woman show here. This is my 8th year doing the budget, and this is probably the toughest budget we've ever done. It's been very frustrating as the council and administration hope to increase revenues. Keep taxes down for the residents, but we still are at a mandatory spending limit with the state. So we've been trying to navigate that. There are additional hires we really do need to make, such as at the wastewater treatment plant, the Department of Public Works. We were able to slide in 2 police officers for at least part of the year this year. The way we do that to save money is we budget them for just a portion of the year, so not the full year. So at least if we get them in by the end of the year, it's an increase we don't have to account for in its entirety the following year. So it hits our budget a little bit less the following year. So that allows us to still make some of the hires, but to not pay for it for the entire year. And that's just a way we've been able to try to manage our budget for the past few years. I don't know how to use like Microsoft Word devices, by the way. I'm an Apple person. So I'm gonna try to do this while we're talking. So, the main goal of this year, as always, was to provide the residents of Berkeley Heights with a budget that really maintains a level of services they're accustomed to and anticipate the needs of our town with increased development. This includes major investments in the wastewater treatment plant, which council has been wonderful in supporting the past few years. Not only to stay in DEP compliance, but make sure all the infrastructure upgrades are completed as soon as possible, not just with time, but with funding available. We also every year need to make sure that we provide the financial matches for any grants we have for roads, sidewalks, drainage projects, because a lot of times these projects have to be awarded to a contractor or spent by a certain date. So we have to track that to make sure that we have any sort of required match in our capital budget in any given year. This year, we have 830,000 in capital items being funded out of current fund, which essentially means money on hand. We're not borrowing more to pay for those. And then something else that we are dealing with this year, as with most other municipalities in New Jersey, are large increases in non-discretionary fixed costs, namely healthcare, insurance, liability insurance. Right now, we really had to budget for fuel, given the instability in the world right now, and increased supply chain and labor costs.
Maybe one don't know.
What was the first here?
There you go, you can just.
Okay.
speak to it.
I'm gonna read to this because I don't know how to reverse. The second slide, which you don't see, municipalities across New Jersey are facing a perfect storm of structural, state level, and local cost pressures. Most towns are dealing with the same core equation: rigid revenue limits, plus rapidly rising fixed costs, plus reduced external support. It all totals structural budget stress. Structural balance, for example, costs are rising faster than revenues. New Jersey itself is dealing with a $3 billion structural deficit. We, as well as many other towns, our big problem this year was a hard state imposed budget cap. We are still bound by the 2% property tax levy cap, which is not a problem for us this year. But the appropriations cap is what we struggled with. And the reason why is because costs like healthcare, pensions, and utilities, which we don't have any control over, often rise well above that 2%. And if you're limited at a 2% increase and those fixed costs are already far surpassing 2%, you can see where the problem lies there. So even though revenues are strong, like they're in Berkeley Heights right now, we cannot just spend them as we need to or would like to. We also have, as mentioned, exploding fixed non-discretionary costs, employee health benefits, liability insurance, pension contributions. These costs prevent us from being able to spend more money on staffing needs, capital improvements, and service enhancements. And now we're on the slide that's actually on the screen. These are just some other issues Berkeley Heights as well as other towns are facing right now. The affordable housing mandates, we have to plan and zone for these affordable housing obligations, which we all know creates higher infrastructure costs, sewer, roads, public safety, and increases demands for services. We continually face major costs for roads, stormwater systems, flooding mitigation, sewer infrastructure. Even though we seek out and obtain many grants, the demand for upgrades and repair often far exceed the funding available. Workforce and service delivery pressures, as mentioned before, rising labor costs plus limited hiring flexibility. Difficulty maintaining adequate staffing levels under the cap constraints, which could result in service cuts or slower response times, and increased supply chain and transportation costs. A lot of things we saw increases in this year were, for example, a lot of materials and chemicals needed at the sewer plant. We rely on a lot of chemicals and liquids down there to maintain our DEP compliance. And so those increases in costs were one thing that did hit us this year. Specific to Berkeley Heights, these are some challenges we've been dealing with for the past couple of years that we still continue to grapple with. Drainage and anti-flooding efforts. We've been tackling them as grant monies and capital funds allow. This year specifically, we budgeted at least $300,000 for stream cleaning in 2026. We also applied for $4 million from the federal government for stream and river cleaning with a coalition of Long Hill, Chatham Borough, New Providence, and Summit, which, as I mentioned, we were thrilled to hear today that Congressman Kane actually approved our application to be sent on to the full House Appropriations Committee for consideration. I believe over 100 towns submitted applications. We were one of 20 that his office selected to move on. At the same time, we have an interview with Senator Booker's office on our application on the Senate side. So things are looking good on that front. The West Side Drainage is another project that we continue to move ahead with. That entire project is estimated to be about $25 million. As we've discussed before, we have chunked this down, and phase 1 is our focus now, which is the sawmill portion of the project, which is still under review by the DEP. We believe we have enough funds in federal aid to do this project. We have $2 million from last year's congressional appropriation on top of the $500,000 we received in 2021 or 2022. We're hoping to begin either fall 2026 or 2027. It all depends on how fast we get approval from the DEP and go through those hoops. This year, we have more than $500,000 in grant liabilities alone to fund in 2026. This means that that's the money that we need to sort of put up to finish these grant projects that either must be awarded or completed by the end of this year. Meanwhile, we'll continue to seek grants to pave more roads, improve sidewalks, pedestrian safety, and other measures. And as mentioned, we do desperately need to hire more people, but we are limited to that spending cap, so we're not able to do as much as we'd like to with hiring this year. I know everybody is always hearing this, but our wastewater treatment plant continues to be a budget challenge. We are tackling it, year by year, but we still face roughly 40 million in projects that should be addressed. We prioritize those in every year and really base the funding requests on order of priority. If something's going to be a disaster, if we don't address it this year, that's what we have to fund this year. Unfortunately, we've seen what happens when we put up those potential disasters and we don't fund them, and then it just ends up, catastrophic, and it ends up costing the township more money. So we're trying to address those in need of priority. In 2023, we invested almost 10 million, 2.3 million in, I feel like I didn't update that correctly. 2024. I'm gonna come back to that because that number is not right. I'll come back to that. 2026 operating expenses alone are almost $3 million for the sewer plant, and our capital needs are 6 to 10 million. The reason there's a range is we applied for a $4 million grant through the water bank for some of our programs, and then there's the $6 million electrical transformer and electrical upgrades project that Heather mentioned. We will bond for so that we can pay for the soft costs that are needed to design the project, but ultimately that will go to the infrastructure bank. But we need to do the bond ordinance to get the engineering costs covered, to get the design to the iBank to have the funding approved. That makes sense. Some specific wastewater treatment projects funded this year are there as follows. The Hampton Drive Force Main, we've continually talked about. That is definitely a priority right now. That's an estimate. Our engineers are working on the design for that now. So once that project goes out to bid, we will have a more accurate estimate price tag for how much construction will actually cost. And these are just some of our biggest increases this year. Healthcare insurance plus liability went up over 800,000. The deferred charge for the storm. Gasoline, we're hoping we don't need that much money in gasoline this year, but to be safe, we wanted to make sure that we had it fully safely funded. Sewer operating expenses alone are over 625,000 more than they were the year before. And then these are some of these other increases that we were dealing with this year. This is just a sampling of some of the services provided to our residents, which we really would like to keep. In an ideal world, we always want to expand services, but as mentioned, we are very much restricted by our caps. There are certain services even though we put sort of a placeholder in the budget for them, we are seeking out potentially lower cost services, such as for our health inspector and animal control, because we don't want to accept the rising costs of those contracts that we're currently in. So we're seeking out possible alternatives there. And the benefit of shared services, not only, is the goal to improve efficiency and to reduce costs, but the more shared services we have, the more we can put outside of that spending cap. So it does typically benefit both entities, stakeholders involved in these. So we are going to be seeking out more shared services as time goes on. And this, I'm going to turn it over to Diane.
This is just a pictorial view of all the different budget line items. And you could easily see that the long, tall ones are the insurance, public safety, and public works. Public works includes the sewer plant. And the debt is also higher. Debt repayment system that's been scheduled, and we did a large portion of debt that was offset by revenue to pay down the floating note. So it would have, the future impacts would be less, and we could fund newer debt as opposed to some of the older debt, where we gives us more flexibility. So our local revenues, and that's including our regular items as well as special items, is 8.3 million and change. It has gone up a little bit from last year. The state aid has remained constant. Uniform commercial code fees are a little higher than last year. We kept them neutral without going as high as we could in case projects such that Connell doesn't go online fast enough. We want to be a little conservative. Our shared service revenue went down a little bit due to some of the agreements with the school, and our grants, we're able to anticipate a few more earlier on this year, just for the timing of some of the grants coming in. The total breakdown, as you can see, the largest portion is school. The amount that we only control is 19%. Less than 19.5% of the budget. So when you receive your bill in the summer, you will see that if you're the average household, it's a little over 14,000, but only only 20, less than 20% of it is our debt that we can actually, our bill that we can actually control. So as I mentioned before, the municipal tax increase was 2.1, which is very, very good, considering the average state was supposed to be held at 2%, with other increases and lots of different flexibilities to the formulas that we're allowed to do. So we think the average household will see about $57.50 a year. So you're talking, a couple bucks a month. I hope that we did our best. And the total amount for the average household, about 322,000, is about $2,700 for the average household. So that's what our impact will be to everyone.
And we know towns, I mean, Scott can weigh in, there are towns 5, 12, 18%, tax increase on the residents. The fact that we are at 2.1 is really, given everything that we have to pay for and given all the non-discretionary costs we had to incur this year. I mean, it was a group effort. It's really, we were pulling our hair out up until about an hour ago, but this is the budget. So we're pleased that that was the tax impact for the residents. I mean, obviously nobody wants a tax increase, but like the fact that we were able to keep it as low as we were, it's great. So this is just a summary of some of the capital items that we have this year. Sewer, that 9.2 million, I just explained it's a little bit of a breakdown. 4 million of that is probably going to be in a grant. That 6 million won't actually be borrowed in full until next year. But just some of the projects that we do have to do are collection system and manhole repairs. That is the number one priority we need to address for the DEP. That means finding leaks in all of our pipes to keep the stormwater out. The more stormwater that goes into our sewer system, the worse it is for our DEP compliance, which means we get pushed out of permit compliance. What's discharged into the Passaic is out of compliance, and it could lead to DEP fines. Hampshire Drive Force Main, pump station assessments, several of our pump stations need to be assessed to figure out what upgrades they need. And then various equipment and replacement costs as well. For public works, waterway stream cleaning, I know council was you very much wanted to commit to having this be part of their budget to help with our anti-flooding efforts. Ride on lawnmower, equipment storage, dump truck with plow and salter. Police, there's a couple vehicles and radios, and yes, unfortunately the radios are significant cost, but we need to ensure for public safety that all of our first responder radios work in every building in the town, and right now that's not the case. So we have to address that. The fire department PPE is personal protective equipment, so the bunker gear they wear to protect themselves when they go into fires and related equipment, technical rescue jackets, SCBA cylinders, which is part of their air packs, and a hose, and engineering. I don't know how to go.
Sidewalks and paving.
Sidewalks, and we were actually able to keep the capital contribution for the township lower this year for engineering because we have existing capital. What we try to do in any given budget year before we put a proposal before council asking for more money is we go back and we look at every line item of existing capital in every department and see if there's any remaining that can be either used for similar purposes this year. Like say the fire department still has money left over from PPE that they, for whatever reason, didn't spend 2 years ago. We will use that toward their purchases and then reduce this year's capital cost accordingly. So we try to do that for every department. So that is why we do have some road money, sidewalk money, drainage money left over in pockets here and there. So that's why we were able to keep this year's capital cost to about $495,000. to augment the existing grants we have for the various engineering projects. This includes the Mountain Avenue Sidewalk Project, Snyder Avenue Sidewalk Project, Springfield Avenue Sidewalk and Lighting Project, and various other road repair and drainage projects. So moving forward, the township is going to pursue the following types of activities to reduce municipal costs so that we can continue to maintain the level of services our community deserves. So we're not panicking the week before the budget is due, thinking we need to lay people off or cut services. We're gonna seek out more shared services with other towns. As I mentioned, most towns in New Jersey, especially our direct neighbors, are all suffering with the same budget challenges right now. We're going to explore more cost-effective health insurance plans for employees while also seeking out additional coverage options. By additional coverage options, I mean that currently our healthcare provider covers family and singles. There is no option for couples coverage. Well, a lot of our employees are just couples. Their kids have aged out, so they don't need to pay for a family plan, and the township does not need to also bear the cost of family plans. So we're looking into more flexible options like that. We're going to continue to put certain infrastructure upgrade costs on developers. For example, we're talking to Connell under their planning board resolution of approval that they got for their current build out. They will probably be paying for our upgrades needed at the Connell pump station because that pump station only serves the flow coming through Connell. So we're doing that with other developers as well. Continue to seek out ways for developers to offset the impact on the community. And then as always, we are open to discussions with other towns to reduce costs. Okay, that's the end.
So I just want to say thank you for your hard work. And a lot of it is funding our needs with long-term infrastructure rather than Band-Aids. So it's important. I know it costs money up front, but I think it's money well spent to do these long-term infrastructure things. And I have just a question. So that appropriations cap hasn't been looked at, right, since 2010?
Correct.
Correct.
It has not.
So I don't know, maybe we write to John and I were talking about this a little bit, writing to our legislators. Because everything else has gone up, why wouldn't that number go up just a little bit to make more sense for what's happening in the real time? Just a smidge, we only need is a smidge, really. So we were talking about writing to our LD 21 people, it doesn't help you for this year, but perhaps it needs to be looked at, it's 16
If you start
years.
now, maybe we'll get it ready for.
Yeah, exactly, so that, as I already have a couple of emails into both our LD, or 3 of them now,
Yeah, that's right.
LD. For 21, right? I have two emails out.
Anything will help.
Yeah, so it's just something to look at because again, like it's been 16 years.
Right.
Government moves slow.
You
So
said
thank you.
2027, I mean 2028, but yeah, we'd like it to turn around a lot quicker. I
The
want
League of Municipalities is pushing to, so the more they hear.
Mm-hmm,
The better.
exactly. And we were thinking maybe writing to some of our neighboring towns and seeing if they want to get on board
Yeah.
as well and have some of these conversations.
Right, I have power in numbers.
Exactly, exactly. It's time to look at this one.
because if they're having the same issues we
Right.
are,
Right.
And they are.
why, I mean, why wouldn't they jump on board with that?
They are.
Come on down.
And every year you'll get some exceptions to the cap that are like 1 year only, but that only helps you for 1 year.
That 1 year.
Like storms, right? Was it?
Or
the-
no, but
it's
like
storm.
healthcare, you get so much outside can be moved. This year we did get a little bit of a storm because of the governor declared an emergency on that. But there was no outside for gas or other things that, it's, no.
I want to thank you all for due diligence on this right to the final hour and the midnight hour, putting the midnight oil, so to speak, but yeah, thank you for that. Should we wait for questions or in the regular?
Anytime I'm not rushing out.
Okay, I'll open up the floor if anybody has any questions about the budget presentation as it sits. If you'd like to hold off until we do our a regular business hearing, we can do that. But where's yours at the moment? I'm still limited to 3 minutes on this, so.
Doing everything tonight.
I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. All right. The clock.
Okay. That was a decent presentation. Thank you, Liza. It was very detailed. If you go back to slide 6, actually, I couldn't see it well because
Now you're gonna make me bring it back up.
I tried to
All right.
get it.
You can
Oh,
see
the
that.
challenge, it's on the sewer.
Okay. Is this it? No.
The one with the, so the. I think the sewage and
Yeah,
then
slide
how
six
much
is the
debt
one.
is left, slide, I think
Sorry.
it's slides. Six, number 6,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, the
Okay,
one.
you see this, right? Okay.
So I wanna ask, I was curious about the last bullet point on the 21.3 million is still owed on the municipal complex.
Correct.
What was the original debt amount that we took? I think it was 22 million. I remember this distinctly because when the town council approved the debt for the town hall, I have this, so it doubled. Our existing township debt at that time was 22 million, and we took 22 million and it became 44 million.
I think wasn't the total 30,
I think it's over 32 million.
32 million, 32 million.
Overall was
That was the total.
for the town hall, it
Yeah.
was 32 million.
Yeah.
So out of 32 million, we have 21.3 left over. For how long?
It's a 30.
For
I'm
to
guess,
other-
Heather, she says those numbers at the top of her head, I'm looking at. Maybe down.
I think it's 52. 2052. It was like 30.
So 32 million is the total debt for the town hall,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna end in 2052. What's the rate of interest?
That's still have that.
4%, I believe.
4%. So that is limit, so what determines that, if you can explain more on that point, you said we have 21.3 million debt left over, that kind of limits us from taking additional debt, so who's determining the?
Who's determining?
So that, on the presentation, you said,
Right.
if we wanna take more debt for the sewage plant or for
Oh.
anything else, we can't take it because this is limiting us, so what is the
Well,
actual?
it's not that we can't, it's just we don't want to have such an impact on the taxpayers. Because we know that we're set to pay a certain amount every year for the building and other projects that we've committed to. So that we're always sensitive to how much it's gonna add to every budget going forward. And then we also have to weigh the needs that we need to fix and do. So it's a constant balancing act.
So what's the total township debt as of today?
43.8 million.
43.8 million, and out of which 21.3 is for the town. And the one other item was on the police vehicles, you said we are spending 243. What's the total number of vehicles we have and how many new are we getting?
Ones. It would, that includes 2 new ones and how many radios? 7?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
So
Two
the
new-
question was, how many
Yeah.
total vehicles does Berkeley Heights Police have as of today? And how many more are we getting with the 243 million?
We're sitting around approximately 20 vehicles and this adds 2, but we roll off 2 when the 2 add up.
So we are retiring 2.
Yes,
And
we
so-
actually retired 4. We
so
try to do 2 a
We
year.
sell them, like when we retire them?
And we repurpose them to other departments within the township, like zoning, the building department, so forth and so on. There is one, if they're in bad enough shape, we will put it out to auction.
No, my question was like, if you're getting new ones, are we able to sell them? Like sometimes you can sell the assets, right? Like on auction.
The
or-
problem is we keep them until they're worth almost nothing. Because we need them.
So we're retiring 2 and we're getting 2 more. And how much are these vehicles?
They're approximately $75,000 to $80,000 each, but that's fully equipped.
Thank
They're also sources of revenue. Just so we know that. We do collect the vehicle fees and the admin fees for them. So we almost completely fund the vehicles every year. I think we were short $20,000 total combined for both vehicles
You
this
mean when they're
year.
used like on.
Yep, on the overtime job.
Like utility company jobs, hiring the police out, they pay, yeah.
Source of revenue, meaning somebody pays you, so,
When there's an overtime job, an extra duty job,
okay,
there's a fee assessed to the contractor, and we take that in as a revenue. So these 2 vehicles are almost completely taken in on the revenue side. I think we're at 20,000, close to it.
thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll move along. Okay. Approval of minutes. Okay, I move that the following minutes as distributed be accepted and approved. The public meetings, March 16, 2026, August 26, 2024, July 23, 2024, March 19, 2024.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Foster.
Yes.
Mr. Machado,
Yes.
Mr. Moran,
Yes.
Mrs. Pope.
Yes,
Madam Clerk, can you read ordinance 2026-05, please?
Calendar year 2026 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank NJSA 40A:4-45.14.
I move that the ordinance as read by the clerk be offered on the first reading, that May 5th, 2026 be set as the day for the public hearing, and that the clerk be directed to advertise said ordinance according to the law.
second,
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Foster.
Yes.
Mr. Machado,
Yes.
Mr. Moran,
Yes.
Mrs. Pope.
yes,
I move resolution 2026-146, resolution authorizing the approval of the 2026 municipal budget for introduction and establishing May 5th, 2026 as the date of the public hearing and final adoption.
second,
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Foster.
Yes.
Mr. Machado,
Yes.
Mr. Moran,
Yes.
Mrs. Pope.
yes. I move to open the citizens hearing.
I'll second that, and I will ask for discussion, and then I'll ask for roll call.
Mr. Foster.
Yes.
Mr. Machado,
Yes.
Mr. Moran,
Yes.
Mrs. Pope.
Yes,
All right, comments are welcome during the public comment period during this meeting on any matter of which the township has jurisdiction. To make your comment, the speaker must come slowly to the microphone, state his or her name and address for the record. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Council President will keep time. Please promptly yield the floor when the time is called and return to your seat. Your cooperation and adherence to these rules of order will ensure an orderly and respectful meeting. Floor is yours.
welcome, Mayor.
Seconded, settle in.
Oh, good.
All right. Okay, you're up.
Good evening, Natasha Jolly, Berkeley Heights, and I am a member of the Board of Education, but as you know, I do not speak for the board, so this is just for me. So the comments and the questions I have are as it relates to Resolution 151 with respect to Lower Columbia Field Project. First question, can the council identify the specific funding authorization or appropriation that allows this project to move forward to bidding? We know that, as presented, there are grants and, donations, right, totaling $756,000 for the project. And I'd like to understand, given the budget presentation, where this is actually in the budget. And can the township confirm whether those funds have been formally appropriated by the governing body, where the funding is accounted for? Are any of these funds or grants currently part of the rec commission budget, given that the budgets are two separate and governed separately and the township is directing the project at this point? What has transpired to ensure proper accounting? Also, previously, this project was being run by Ms. Varner as part of the, as a volunteer in the rec commission, and now this is being, she's being paid by the township for the same work, and kind of curious as to the rationale. Does the rec commission not want to pursue this project, since the project originated with the rec commission under NJSA 40:12? Can the council clarify what action was taken to move forward to, independent of the commission? And then, with respect to, NJDEP, approvals, has the township obtained all the required approvals from the Department of Environmental Protection for this project, given the presence of hydric soils and proposed drainage work? Can the council confirm whether any NJDEP permits have been applied for or issued for this project prior to, moving forward with the bidding? And then with respect to, I think at the last meeting I attended, the exec session could not be held to discuss certain proposals because of quorum. Looks like we don't have that issue. We would have that issue tonight as well. So my question to the council is, when do we anticipate having that discussion in exec with respect to the proposals with pilot and shared services agreements, given that we're all in budget season? Thank you.
Take part of the funding issue.
I don't know
It's
where we
being-
are.
So we've
I don't know. where
said
we are on the
multiple
agenda.
times that this is being funded with grants, so I'm not really sure like what the genesis is for that, but this is being funded entirely with grants. When the bids come back, we will know.
And let me just add, because I'm trying to remember, it's what I was trying to settle in. Grants in which the township is the grantee.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. So when the bids come back, we will know, and this was sent to the Board of Ed in detail. We will know what exactly the project cost is, and we did several portions of the project in what's called an alternate bid. So there's a separate cost proposal for those, and when it's set out like that, we have the ability to say, okay, we will accept this bid for this main portion of the project, but because the costs maybe, for example, were higher than we anticipated, we're not gonna be able to do, alternate bid portions like 3 and 4 because of cost. So that allows us to at least get the main part of the project done, and hopefully some of the alternate bids. Grants are typically included in the budget as either the grant award letters come in. That's the only time we can typically include it in the budget. I can't answer right now. We'd have to go back and look at previous year's budgets to tell you exactly which year those were included.
Multiple years.
The town is not, again, the township as of this time is not putting in any additional money. This is being funded entirely with grant funds. Trying to think of what else, what other questions?
The DEP, whether.
The DEP, I mean, Debbie may be able to answer additionally, but our engineer does not believe any DEP permits are required. We are using, it's a similar use for what it is used for now. And that is a key component typically in whether or not you need a DEP permit, but we are told by our engineer that we do not. What did I miss? I think those were the main ones. I mean, additional ones I could, if I missed anything, we could maybe answer. If you want to email me the questions or something, we can just answer them offline, but.
Hi, Debbie Barnerin, 20 Wardle Avenue. Yes, to just clarify everything that Liza said, we are hopeful that the entire project would be funded through grant money and donations. We did receive a $250,000 donation from Connell back when the world shut down in 2019, I think that was. So we're going back a long time that this project has been in the works. And to clarify again what Liza said, the New Jersey DEP approval, both our township engineer and the engineer that we hired to do this project had said that we do not need the DEP approval because we are not doing the artificial turf, because it is a similar use, and because we are not replacing a tremendous amount. They're being very careful with what is being done in the area. In regards to my position, I don't really think I owe anybody a reason as to why I'm not on the rec commission. My husband knows why, and that's about all that I care to share that with.
And when that did happen, I did ask for you to come on as a township employee, which is a more sound way to have a township employee manage a project than a volunteer. And you did agree to do that. So that was a conversation that we had.
Right. I did try to get minimum wage.
You tried to
But
not be paid, but we could.
It was also agreed upon with the mayor. I'm speaking on your behalf, but you did reach out to the acting chair at the time, and he agreed that because I had the most knowledge and the most experience with this project, that it is of the best interest of Berkeley Heights, that I manage the project. In looking into it a little bit further, we determined that the lease agreement is with the township for the property, as well as all of the grants and the donations were given to the township.
And if I could just add to this, with a project of this magnitude, there needs to be accountability by paid township staff. I need to know what's going on. I need to be able to report to council what's going on. This is happening on township property. It has to be overseen by people who are staff, official staff. So this is the way to make sure that we're all in the loop on what's going on a more than $1 million.
And if I may, what is this pilot and shared service that Ms. Jolly referred to?
It's a request from the Board of Education.
Okay, so she wasn't speaking on behalf of so I don't know anything about this.
No,
It's an
you-
executive session, so if she's not speaking on behalf of the Board of Education, I'm not quite sure why that was brought up. Seems like that's a contradiction, what you're saying. That's all I have.
And thank you for taking this project on.
Thank you.
The executive session was in the public agenda. Apologize.
It's related to a request for pilot funds and what was the other thing?
And shared services agreement. And so
Out of our budget to the Board of Education.
it was, those are, we spoke about it in public at the board meeting, and as a resident, I came to the meeting. It was on the agenda for contract negotiations, yes. And, but the exec session was listed, but then it could not occur because people had to recuse themselves. So that's what I was referring to. So it was on the exec agenda. And I
It's
didn't
not
think,
tonight.
right, and it's not today. So I was just asking when the next exec agenda was going to
There's
occur to
no-
have a town council
To
discussion.
answer your
on the topic.
question, there's no scheduled date at this time.
Thank you, thank you.
So, yeah, we want that.
Hi there, I'm Patricia Robertson. I'm at 31 Highland Circle. I too had a question about the fields and the sports complex, some of which I think you've already answered, but I think I just want to clarify. So I was aware of the proposed turf fields last year, and then my understanding was that one of the main reasons it didn't move forward was drainage. And I guess because the field itself is a wetland and or adjacent to wetlands, which I understand obviously raises cost issues and potentially DEP approval issues. So now the project's been reproposed, albeit in a somewhat different form, I guess grass, not turf. And I understand that turf has bigger drainage issues, but they are still wetlands. So I would have thought that drainage is still somewhat of a concern here and needs to be addressed. So I did understand from what you just shared with us that the engineer has determined there is no DEP approval required. And I guess just as a citizen, I have concerns about that, given that it was such a great concern. And I understand that going from turf to grass does mitigate that somewhat, but it seems like a bit of a cursory sort of response. And so I would ask, has the engineer, in coming to that conclusion, has he had discussions with the DEP to determine this?
I can answer that, Patricia.
Is that what you?
Oh, yeah,
does,
no.
Because, obviously before we move forward, DEP approval has got to be top of mind for us.
Sure.
To make sure that as we move forward, we're spending these very generously donated funds appropriately, and that we, engage in this in just the right way. So my concern is that there's a really thoughtful, upfront answer that's been vetted, confirmed before we can move forward and you can move forward with it.
Debbie Varner, 20 Wardle Avenue. So I don't know where you got your information from, but the reason why we are not going with synthetic turf and the reason why we are going with natural turf is not because of drainage. It is because the DEP classifies synthetic turf as a structure. And because of that, that would require, because you're building a structure that's so close to the wetlands, that would require you to go to the DEP for approval. The drainage is different in a natural turf field than it is in a synthetic turf field. And again, like what we said before, we're not really creating anything new. We're just putting better grass there in a way. And you asked something else too.
So
So with respect to the drainage then that needs to be done, given that it is wetlands, I don't know what's involved in whatever drainage apparatus is being utilized. Does that in and of itself, also same question, create a need for DEP approval? And has that been vetted, confirmed by engineer before we move forward?
Right.
Thank you.
So the area where the field is proposed is not wetlands. Okay, it has not, you can look on the DEP's website, it's not classified as wetlands. There are 3 characteristics that have to be present in order for something to be classified. Now, again, I am not an engineer, I'm not an environmentalist, I don't work for the DEP. This is 10 years of working on this. So please forgive me if I misspeak a little bit. But from what I understand, there's 3 classifications for an area to be classified as wetlands. 1 is vegetation, present vegetation. 2 is hydric soil. And 3 is, I don't remember, but there's another one. We can, if we wanted to, go down the path for an artificial turf. And we can go to the DEP. But because we've already met that one criteria of that hydric soil, chances are it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars in permits because of all of the other investigation work that's going to have to go on, as well as many, many years. That's why we pivoted and we said, this property has been in disarray. I mean, I've lived here 19, 20 years, and it's been the same condition. So we made the decision to pivot to give the community a beautiful area. And instead of doing the artificial turf, we're exploring doing the entire area, give a refresh of the entire area, the baseball fields, the basketball courts, the fencing, the entrance to where the playground camp is. So it's a all-encompassing project now, instead of just focusing on an artificial turf for a multi-purpose field.
Contingent on the bid coming back and the funding being available.
Of course.
Sorry, President Weiss.
Of course.
Cheering too loud of the game today. Natasha's daughter hit a double. She had a good game.
This is all dependent on what the pricing comes back.
And Deb, I just want to say, got 2 out of 3, which is amazing considering the verbiage. But it's hydric soils, hydrophytic vegetation, which I can't even pronounce that one, and wetland hydrology, which is saturated or inundated with water. Yeah. Got 2 right off out of your brain. That's great. Awesome.
Thank you.
Very good. Now for something completely different. I'm looking at your budget, budget sheet 3B, 2026, available for banking, $1,300,834. That's pretty good. You underspent the tax levy, right?
That's great. You're looking at the right thing.
I'm reading this.
No, wait, reading it wrong, it sounds really good, but it sounds like I'm like.
Are you looking at the CapEx or the levy cap?
Levy cap.
Oh, the levy cap.
Levy cap, yes, that is absolutely good, yeah. We
Fair
are,
to say that levy cap is not a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Correct.
underspent the levy cap. Thank you. It must be then the expenditure cap. Is
Yes.
what's. Oh, yeah, big down. Okay.
as if you look at the levy cap,
But I
are
don't see any analysis.
a mere, that would be
Expenditure
sheet,
cap.
the sheet 3B, the first of that, we are just $400 underneath the levy cap, the appropriation cap,
Levy cap,
3B.
3B.
3B, that's what I'm looking at.
Right, that's sheet 3, if you go back.
3B, and then there's a parentheses 2. That shows available for banking. 1.3 million. Right?
This is the appropriations cap explanation. You can just go back a couple pages,
Oh,
sheet
okay.
3B, regular.
All right.
That's the levy cap, go
All
back,
right.
go back once.
Another one?
No. Forward. There, that's.
419.31.
Okay,
That's how much we,
all right, so the,
we took it all the way up to the limit, pretty much.
okay. Good. All right, that's interesting. Now, so if you're gonna ask for relief from the legislature, you have to get some relief in the expenditure, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct, that's what we need to have the law change.
That's what's hurting.
All right, now for something, since we were just talking about millions, let's go down to cents. Rounding rules.
I told her to be ready for your question when I said.
Except for she told me like 2 seconds
That's why I
ago.
gave it advance notice because it's a math. Okay, so rounding rules, amounts ending in 0.01 to 0.04 rounded up to 0.05, fine. 0.06 to 0.09 rounded up to 10 cents. Doesn't say anything about the other amounts, like what would happen for 0.16, that's not addressed, right?
I'm not looking at you.
No,
No,
no.
what I'm
Don't
just
look at
saying,
me.
the tax collector
That's not
proposed,
addressed.
when he introduced asked the council to pass the resolution,
Yeah,
he took the stat, one that's been used throughout the towns. I will take a closer look at that. And if it needs to be revised, we'll have a new resolution up to the council for their.
let me suggest this, these are examples. Your actual rule is in section 1. Where it says final balance due shall be rounded up to the nearest 0.05. That's the general rule. These two things here that I question are just examples of what you're doing. They're not a complete list of examples. The only thing that should survive section 2 is no amounts will be rounded down under any sort. That's what I think.
I'll have a discussion with the tax collector tomorrow and we'll see how we need to revise.
So.
Hey, good evening, Cyber Feelings. So my first question is on NJDEP permits are not required is a statement from the engineer. Do we have this documented from the engineer?
I don't know, I have to go back and look through our.
Because
Communication.
I think in multiple meetings, and I believe it was Harbor Consultants who basically said the soil is hydric and that is the reason why we're not going for initially it was like it's free, like, it'll be green acres. So we will do the turf, now we cannot. So now we are hearing that I love natural fields, but this particular statement that NJDEP permits are not required. Like, I think that needs to be done. I did a quick search before I came here. I couldn't find anywhere related to this project that it has been documented. And who is the engineer who is recommending or stating this?
It's Harbor that's doing it.
So-
Harvard's doing the design.
And they have documented it to the administration?
If there were permits required, they would tell us there were permits required. We're actually in communication with the DEP now because somebody contacted them about it.
Not me. Maybe I
Well,
would.
somebody. We would not move forward with a project that needs DEP permits without getting DEP permits.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, just,
I mean-
be simple, we have to rely on their expertise and their
Right.
advice, and that's what we're doing.
So I hear this all the time, Angie, that we hire experts, we need to, believe them. I strongly believe in trust but verify. So I would trust them, but I would like to verify it. So,
Well, the DEP is verifying it right now.
okay.
Yeah, they
All I'm
contacted
saying
us
is,
last week.
okay, I'll come to the next meeting as a follow-up, or you can email it to me. If you
Yeah.
can, I need a documented thing from the consultant who is in charge of the project. They've got the bid, right? Or in what capacity have they made that? So,
They're designing the project, so and when the engineers design the project, they are in charge of telling the client, us in this case.
Mhm.
What, if any, permits are going to be required for the project.
Okay.
And then there's cost associated with it, they are in charge of applying for the permits, that all has to happen before the project can move forward.
so if they can document it and we can see it documented from the designers that no NJDEP permits are required for Lower Columbia, that's all I would like to see. I
You
want
guys can put in an Oprah request for that.
No, I'm not putting an open request. I'm just asking you here, like, we are spending taxpayer dollars.
Correct.
And you've got grants, you're using
Correct.
it, so I just wanna know if it is documented. If you want me to submit an Oprah request, I can do that. If you want me to go to the DEP, I can do that.
We don't have all the communication in front of me right now, that's why
Can I ask
but.
a question? You just said that we're using taxpayer dollars. There's nothing like that.
No taxpayer
There's no
dollars. For
taxpayer
the
dollars.
80th
Let's clear that right
time,
up.
no taxpayer
Clear
dollars
that right up.
are being used for this project. It's
Hey.
all being paid for with grant money.
Okay, so I wanna.
Just, I wanna like, sorry,
you
it's
know
not
that the
you,
engineer- can
we
I
keep
just-
getting this question
Right, hold on.
and.
For 1 second, just because I think I clarified, we know that Victor has spoken, or his environmental expert has spoken to the DEP.
Yes. Okay, so when you say grants are not taxpayer dollars, I just want to put it on the record. All grants, be it federal or state, are funded by who?
Most of the time, like, for example, the
It's not free money.
serve and Connell.
No, all
are
I'm saying
not.
is the grant money, when
We
Liza
do
says,
get private grants occasionally.
yeah,
But the majority of the time, I hear what you're saying, it's county or state.
so
or
I just
federal
want
tax
to
dollars.
level set, and when residents come or ask and say taxpayer dollars, we are basically shoot away saying, no, this is grant money. Grant money is not
It would
just
be
free.
otherwise given to other towns,
I
and they're
understand.
taking advantage of it, so it's not additional taxpayer money being used.
But
But you're
it's-
taking advantage of taxes already being paid into the system to get improvements for our town.
It's tax dollars. And
It's
then
not just
whatever-
Berkeley Heights tax dollars, it's spread out through the whole county, so everyone who lives in Union County is paying their tax dollars. If we don't take advantage of some of these grants from Union County, it's not on all of our backs,
I think
and
it's
still the
just-
same thing.
I think it's semantics or preference of, there are people who feel like if
It's
they
not
get a
free
grant
money.
and it's not coming out of their local tax dollars, then that's a grant. I hear what you're saying, that it's all a part of the bigger picture of tax dollars, so I think it's probably just semantics at this
Yeah,
point.
so now, coming down to, so if I can get that NJDEP permit not quit. Also, I wanna know where in the budget line are the specific grants that the rec commission plans to run for this?
It's not.
They're
the
not, it's not the rec commission, it's
Okay.
township, we are the grantee,
Mhm.
and it's been over multiple years, we don't have that information readily handy. So over multiple years, we got a state appropriation for Lower Columbia, we've gotten the corporate grants, we've gotten.
So it's in multiple budget
State
years.
grants.
Show up in
I
our
don't think we've
audit.
gotten any county grants towards this, correct?
Yes, there's one.
Oh, we do have
Yeah.
one, because record, okay, so multiple years, it's not in one place at one time, as we got them, they were incorporated into the budget, we hold on to that money. Usually it's finite, you usually have like 24 months typically to spend out that money, so that's why we're trying to get everything tied up as best as we can, so that's the answer.
Now, also I heard Natasha's question. I don't think Natasha asked about why Deborah was on the rec commission. I think the question was whether the rec commission is responsible for this project, for the Lower Columbia project. No, okay. So, and there is no separate project line in the budget, I believe. This is all accumulated grants from over the years. And so there is no township so the township employee that is overseeing that is Mrs. Warren.
Correct.
Correct? So now I have a question on how many candidates applied? Did you post for this position?
did.
We did. How many candidates applied?
One,
One. And only one was interviewed?
yes,
Okay. Okay.
the one that was most qualified.
Okay, and I believe you. So moving on to the other grant project, which is the Sherman Avenue project. I see it's on the agenda with a 5.75% hike. I think we're spending another 66,000 on Sherman Avenue. So my three main questions are, who designed Sherman Avenue?
Arterial, they're a design firm.
They specialize in
Streets.
Streets.
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
And do we have planning board and Berkeley Heights Police Department's approval for the design?
It has gone through, the police have been on board, they've known about this project since we did the initial walkthrough. If it needed planning board approval. Would go to the planning, I can't even remember,
yeah, that would-
honestly, I can't remember.
That would go for, approval is the wrong word for it, because they don't have, actually have the right to approve or disapprove it, it's like a courtesy consistency review.
With the master plan,
Well,
which it is in direct alignment
Yeah,
with the master.
So the reason I asked this question is, I don't know if you're driving on Plainfield Avenue after I believe it's 80% done. The sidewalk on the Plainfield Avenue is suddenly not in line with before the train tracks. You're coming down Plainfield Avenue towards Springfield Avenue. It is jutting out. So I don't understand, like if you're driving on Plainfield Avenue and trying to make a right or even go straight, somehow the sidewalk is from the park towards Plainfield is jutting out. So I don't know who approved this. That is, I believe, going to cause some concern. The other thing is, I don't know if you've driven on it. It is very, very narrow. The way it was designed is we got rid of free parking spaces. We have made the sidewalk extra wide. And now we are, if the whole intent was to open it up for extra, space for walkers, now we are installing lampposts on it instead of installing them towards on the park side. So keep that extra wide. So we've effectively created a choke point. And now there is this talk about making it a one-way. Is that?
We are not talking about making it one.
Not us.
Okay, and then the police.
No, it's starting bubble again.
Okay, so now the police department is okay with the limited width, drivable width of Sherman Avenue?
The chief can speak to that.
Yeah, we spoke with the township engineer and we did discuss that it is the appropriate width for two vehicles to go at the same time. Ultimately, we did see over this winter, we had a significant amount of snowfall. So it is important. We have to make sure moving forward, the public works keeps it curb to curb because it can impact the width at that point. But if there's no weather event,
It's a normal street width.
it is a normal street width.
But
Narrowing streets, is that also a calming, traffic safety measure, as I understand from the township engineer, that actually slows down traffic the more narrow the street is?
Traffic calming, and then we also removed the no right on red at Springfield and Plainfield to encourage people to not travel on Sherman Avenue to go Plainfield to Springfield.
Will there be a traffic light? Is there a traffic light planned for that area?
I have no knowledge of a traffic light.
No, so the plan is, and we've discussed this with PD, once the project's done, let's give it a few months and evaluate how traffic is flowing through there. And if we need to do additional changes, like, how there's all those little side streets that feed between Springfield and Sherman, there's like, two every block, like one in the middle. Maybe we'll look at closing one of them off or making those one way, just coming off of Sherman Avenue onto Springfield to encourage people to go into Springfield. But it's not prudent to make those decisions now until we actually see how traffic flows and how people are utilizing it once it's completed. So that's the plan.
I also think it might be a little bit of an issue. We haven't been able to strike the roadway.
Just confusing.
Since winter, so it's confusing because there's two double lines out there. We think once we're able to stripe it, maybe it'll pick up something.
My biggest concern is the jutting of the sidewalk on the Plainfield Avenue, which is not in line with the rest of the Plainfield Avenue, which is a sudden surprise, especially with young drivers or seniors, or if there is limited visibility. The other question that I have is, because since I moved here, I think about 14 years ago, it was easy for me. My street is off of Springfield to make a left. Now it takes us almost 8 to 10 minutes to just make a left. So by adding more limited access off of Springfield with the number of residents growing up, and then the lack of parking space, I don't think that was a well-designed idea. But if you're going to look at it later, I don't know how much longer, Liza, for the traffic.
Can I ask a question? You're talking about the parking on Sherman Avenue.
Yes.
The parking on Sherman Avenue, that's all private parking down there. There is no parking on Sherman Avenue, and Chief, you can confirm this with me. There's no parking on the curbs and anywhere on Sherman Avenue.
No, not right now, but we got rid of free parking. So we want people to come to downtown. We used to have free parking on Sherman Avenue. We got rid of it just for this tiny stretch to be able to be made walkable. So if the idea was to, master plan, have the entire downtown be walkable, we have multiple sidewalks in downtown, in front of CVS, everywhere. None of those connect. So I don't understand why we are spending 66,000 and additional grant money. Yes, this is free grant money, but this is taxpayer dollars somehow. But spending all that money for that, I don't know, like 500 meters of stretch to be walkable with lampposts in between, I don't think it's logical. And
It's gonna go all the way to Long Pine.
Right, it's gonna,
It's a whole.
This is just
this is phase
one.
one.
And it's going to be wide, that wide, all the way to Lone Pine?
I can't speak to whether it's going to be that wide the whole length, but again, it's that and then the other side, that's the next phase, phase three. The train station, the goal is, and we don't have the funds, we can barely afford our budget this year, just the basics. I wasn't here to hear the presentation, but I know the pain points. So the goal is to continue to chunk away at these sidewalks, and we've got the Springfield Avenue, and to connect it all from the old Berkeley caterers all the way around, so it does become walkable.
And we did have a public information meeting as part of at least one of the grants funding this project. We had to have a what's called a public information center meeting. And we did have that and January 2024. So that was also the time the public could review the plans, ask questions of the engineer. We put feedback and whatnot, made changes as needed. So we did have a stakeholder meeting, if you will.
I attended one of them.
Yeah, I don't
Many,
know if
yeah,
that was the one.
I
if
did,
That was the one
yeah.
or not. So
So maybe I was the lone voice who said, I don't like reducing the width of the roads. See, also respectfully, I hear you when you say there are budget constraints, but it was very surprising to see in December a resolution to increase the salary across the board, the salary ranges. And that was done in December, and now we are I think in March is when everybody started hearing that we have budget concerns, so bulk, chipping might not happen. So did we factor all this in when you did the overall salary cap increases?
I'm sure it was contractual, people were bumping up. I don't know specifically what you're talking about. I don't think it was across the board. It was probably several positions.
So you increased the salary cap for town council members, for
that
mayor?
was couple
That was
years ago.
That was a
No.
year or
It
two
was a
ago.
year ago.
No,
year
this
ago.
December.
No, that was not this December.
So that
The
is.
council
budget
people
year.
was not.
And
Okay.
compared to other towns, our stipends, what they are very low compared to other towns. And some towns give health benefits to their council members. We don't do anything like that.
Well,
It's
we can't afford that.
exactly.
And I think it was $500 times 7. I think it was the increase from last year. So that's not gonna help a $700,000 deficit with the snow, the rainstorm, the liability, the health insurance that was unexpected.
Maybe the legal costs can be reduced. Like, do we actually need an attorney sitting all through this? Like since.
It's required.
Yeah, I could say, yes, that's.
I feel
My-
enough.
My budget was slashed this year, and I can tell you, with absolute certainty, I'm maybe the only person here who was legally required to be here.
That's true. Since I've been here, no offense, but I saw you on your cell phone 80% of the time. So I feel like, is it actually required for us to spend this time?
I'll tell you, just, if anyone sees me on the phone, I usually look up something that someone said, because my internet on my computer is not great, but yeah.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, I'm glad that you took the no right turn sign from Plainfield to Springfield, 'cause I was one of those people that cut through Sherman Avenue to avoid that very long light. Raise your hand if you did it. And now I don't have to do that anymore. So what I'm hoping is that Sherman Avenue doesn't become a cut through, that it just becomes a more walkable street. So thank you, Chief.
Okay.
So I'm David Sankel, 75 Grandview Ave. So I'm a resident raising my family here in Berkeley Heights, and I want to thank you for your time tonight and the work you've put into drafting this 2026 budget. As someone who manages the accounting and budget for a nonprofit organization, I know firsthand how challenging it can be to deal with rising operational costs while delivering on your core mission. But as a taxpayer, I have to look closely at our bottom line and ask where we can find better efficiencies to stabilize our taxes. So looking at this budget, I want to focus on our municipal debt and our statutory expenses. First, our municipal debt service sits at just over 6 million this year. That is exactly 17.4% of our entire operating budget. And municipal finance crossing the 15% threshold means we are taking on a heavily leveraged debt burden that severely restricts our financial flexibility. To prevent us from hitting the 20% danger zone, we really got to rein in the 6-year capital plan. This year alone, we have $770,000 outlined for vehicle acquisitions and another $655,000 for DPW equipment. I am asking the council to extend the life cycle of our current fleet and defer these non-emergency purchases. Every dollar we borrow today simply balloons that 17.4 debt burden tomorrow. Second, let's look at the employee group insurance, costing the town nearly $3 million inside the cap. We have only budgeted $27,000 for health benefit waivers. By significantly increasing the financial incentive for employees to get coverage elsewhere, we can move more individuals off our expensive insurance rolls, resulting in substantial net savings potentially. Finally, regarding the library, I recognize the 1.73 million appropriation is a strict state mandated minimum. However, state law allows municipalities to recapture unused library funds if the library's undesignated surplus exceeds 20% of its audited operating expenses. So before you cast your final vote, I respectfully ask, will you commit to deferring non-essential capital purchases? And will you formally request the library board to return any qualifying excess surplus for direct property tax relief? Thank you for your time.
You know this is New Jersey, right? Joe Iadans at 923 Mountain Avenue. Where's that young lady? Tomorrow night, planning board, they have all the information about the field. You can go online and look at it and see all those stuff. And by the way, if you're an employee of the town, it's tax dollars are being used. So you know. All right. With all due respect, young lady, you've announced that you're not going to run for mayor again. In the event that you're abducted by aliens prior to December 31st, do we have a plan in place?
There's a legal
Oh, I know about the legal thing.
vacancy, there's a whole process, legal process. I hope I don't get abducted by aliens.
Right. Well, as you may guess, there's a lot of speculation that you may hit the lottery and leave sooner than later.
Who's speculating? Are you talking to my husband on the line?
No, I don't talk to him one-on-one.
You might rush that.
Okay, now, I'm gonna bring this up, this is all about some of the elections. Because I know when David Cohn left, there was a process that I looked into, and I looked at the municipal code, it could be very interesting. All right, now, we have two of the people that are running for the office are on the council now. So I assume one of them is gonna win. So when one of them wins, what happens to the that position? Because their term of office continues.
Okay, so I'm gonna wing this, but Scott, correct me. I think if John wins and the Republican Party puts forward 3 names, if Susan wins, the Democratic Party puts forward 3 names, and then the council votes on it. Is that correct?
That's actually, I survived one of those meetings, yes.
Correct.
Okay. Yes.
Right.
This Jennifer, I'm not sure when the terms will end, depending on timing, then they may call for a special election until the remainder of the term, but.
You have a year left, but you're 29.
My first year.
I'm just work that up. Okay. On tax map number 2201-15, which is exempted Board of Education, on the tax map 2201-19 exempted YMCA, and on tax map 2201-18 exempted American Legion. This is behind, I think, the youth school. Anyway, there are pieces of construction equipment there and appearances of altering landscape. Does anybody know what's going on there?
I was there today, Joe. It looks like they're putting up a retaining wall to keep the dirt and stuff from falling into the parking lot. No, it's why.
Oh, the block.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like they're putting up a retaining wall in wood to make it, you know.
Oh, is that the stormwater?
I was there today, just happened to be there, and I actually looked out the back window and I was like, what are these guys doing out there? And that's what I saw them putting up. They're putting up like railroad ties.
Railroad ties, timbers, right. Gotcha.
And because it pitches, and I think something was coming into the parking lot and whatever, and they got their buses parked back there, so before it creates a landslide.
Thank you.
I hope that helps.
Okay, for the 3rd time, there's been a change in one of the affordable housing units. It was the Stratton House, became the Claris, now it's the Berkeley House. Does the township benefit financially in any way from these changes?
We just have to approve them, right?
That's all I'm with.
We just approved the ownership.
Oh, ownership.
The Bordeaux sold to the new owner.
But isn't there, there's a sale, and is there any kind of money that's generated?
No, just between the former owner and the current owner. I don't know what the contract is, I don't know.
Okey dokey.
It doesn't change our pilot, put it that way.
Question on the bill, Fagan dispatching service is over $42,000. No, anything, dispatching services, $42,231.
Which.
General administration pricing, police dispatch, Union County General Administration.
That's our shared service payment.
Yeah, but the vendor's Fagan?
That's what I see here, Fagan, that's what I was looking at, I was just curious.
We have to show us, because that's the county of Union, that's
Yeah,
a purely shared service with the county of Union, and they don't outsource as far as I know.
Says general administration. Okay, I just thought it was kind of,
Training.
I don't know how the dispatching works.
He would know.
Yeah, but for 42,000?
No, I think the numbers are.
Oh.
Okay.
So,
All right, I also saw,
for Officer Bacon. And as a separate item.
It could have.
And then shared dispatch.
Two different.
Two different
bills.
expenses.
Okay.
so if you call one of those numbers for an emergency, do I get Berkeley Heights or do I get Union County?
If you call 911,
Yeah,
you get Union County
okay,
dispatch.
thank you. On 2026-150, it's about, there's a number of engineering firms. And, my question is, what is a special project? It doesn't,
Wait, is it again? What?
Who's the vendor?
2026-150. It specifically, it has about 8 different
Oh,
engineering.
That's not, you want to be. Oh, you can, but that's special.
What is a special project? I mean, it seems to be very vague.
Yeah, so as part of some of our federal grants, we have to hire a separate engineer to inspect the project
Okay,
versus the one who is overseeing construction. So we had to go out to bid for engineering firms to choose from to do those types of special grant projects.
So they're just qualified. Is it
Right.
the second time that we've been out?
Yes, because the
We went
first
out
time I
in
think
November.
nobody responded.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we got eight.
At least they're
One to
kind
choose
of.
from.
okay, and about the, Columbia field, I have no issue with the Columbia Park, Floyd Taylor Field, basketball courts, parking area, and assorted other upgrades. I think it's a wonderful thing. As long as it's based upon the municipal code, township history, all this should be a collaborative effort by the Recreation Commission, Town Council, Board of Education. So that's what I want to say about that. Hopefully, everybody's on board with that. Board of Education, Town Council.
We love it.
Okay, no, I know you're very, she was very passionate about it, so that's a good thing. You did a great job talking about the budget.
Thanks.
There's no doubt in my mind, and I think you highlighted it, biggest issue in the next couple of years is gonna be the sewer system. And like I said a long time ago, gonna take intestinal fortitude on both sides to make sure we make that okay. Thank you for your time, good luck. Hopefully you don't get abducted by aliens, but I did hope you win the lottery.
No pun intended on it.
I think she would finish out her shirt. Here's one.
No pun intended for the intestinal fortitude for the sewer plant.
Sorry, Mayor, we looked at the bills list to answer your question about the reference to Fagan. So there are two separate line items there. There's the $42,231.12 bill for dispatching services. And there's a $7.51 bill for Fagan BC, which is printing charges. So those are two separate things, but the
It's
ones.
the same company, Fagan.
No.
No.
So these are. This is just, this must be a $7.51 charge from the county, from Union County for printing, and I'm guessing.
UI dispatching service.
They have a print shop.
And then
You can buy things
$500
directly from the county print shop.
Yeah, but that's a separate thing, the dispatching services.
There is a bill on there for Officer Pig and service training.
That's a different thing than this. This is specific for printing, yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, so.
Business card,
That's what it is.
It's by business
We buy
cards.
just things like that.
It's like those Fagan BC, it's by business cards.
Business cards.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
A follow-up question too. I think it was David Single who came and asked if we can use the existing fleet of vehicles and not increase the budget.
Oh, no.
So I asked that question too in our small budget meetings and I talked with the chief, so I'm a very fiscally conservative person. And the answer is no, but we do repurpose them, they go to other departments. And then we auction off what we can, but the answer is no. This is the Bears Bones budget. That's a good alliteration. The Bears Bones, repeat that I've seen since I've been on council. I mean, you did an incredible job finding what we need. The wants are out. It's just needs.
So we have 20 vehicles as it is, and we are adding 2 more.
Well, too off. Just yesterday, there was one police car left in the lot. And it was because it got returned from the public works for mechanical repairs, or else I probably wouldn't have even been there. There was one car in the fleet in the parking lot yesterday.
So we are a township with like what, 6-mile radius, and how many police officers do we have?
So it's not just how many police officers we have. We have 4 cars every day that have to roll out to the schools for our shared service agreement. That's 4 right off the bat. Then the officers on patrol, and then detectives, numbers just keep adding. And it's just a mandatory. I'm telling you, we're far from driving around in Rolls Royces. I would welcome you to come check them out. At their own, some of them are almost to the point where they're too dangerous to be driving around town.
So how many police officers do we have overall for these 20 vehicles?
We have a total of 28 police officers. That does not include 4 class 3s that we have and 2 class 2s.
So pretty much everybody, like the police officers have a vehicle each.
No,
So 20 officers, 20 vehicles.
28 police officers
28
plus 4 class 3s plus 2 class 2s.
If those officers need those vehicles to go to the schools, should the schools help finance those cars or we finance them 100%?
No, those are paid by us.
That's how the law was written. So when
I'm
the,
just checking.
yeah, that's
What
how,
law was written?
when the SROs and SLEOs were, I was here when Gene Kingsley and the original first year when the state mandated, proposed, not mandated. I don't think it's mandatory to hire SROs and SLEOs. The state said you could get SROs and SLEOs. And that was they were going to be hired by the police department and they would be sent over to the school. So this was not included. And I spoke.
No, the
with them.
councilwoman's question, I believe, was about the vehicles.
Yeah.
Vehicles.
There's no law that requires a vehicle, to my knowledge.
Yeah, there's no law that requires mandatory SROs and SLEOs, so.
No, but we have 4 because that's what the Board of Ed requested the
I
township.
get it, yeah.
So I'm just curious, if these 4 officers do need vehicles, why do we have to pay for the whole vehicle? That's my question.
Well, it's not just vehicles, there's vests, there's training, it's guns. there's-
Right, so all of that.
Yeah, we pay for all, we
You know,
pay
we
for.
all of that. Okay.
But police vehicles in general, they're driven 24/7. They put on a lot of miles. They're needed, they need to be in good condition for emergency response. You know, vehicles that have over 100,000 miles are not appropriate to be used in an emergency response vehicle. It's not safe. So, you know, if we don't replace vehicles when they're aged, we have to compensate on the maintenance and repair costs of those vehicles. And plus, it puts the chief in a difficult position because he's putting officers out in vehicles that are aged with high miles. And, you know, it doesn't really set our officers up for success or send them.
So I hear you.
We don't even have our cars that got approved last year, they're not even on the road yet. So we're always operating a year behind.
When you
And
say
the
they're
cost-
not on the road, you didn't get them or?
We have them, they're at the upfitters, they gotta get the lights, they gotta get the computers.
W2 and fire apparatus.
And it's not just about the mileage, there's idling hours, because the cars are constantly idling, so.
Also regarding the other question by David Single about the library, the allocated 1.7 or 1.3. The unutilized part of it.
I typically sit on the library board, or I have the last 4 months, so I'm aware of they just did their budget presentation, I think it was last month. There is some funding capital funding that they have, but there's, and I don't know the law about this, but if there are capital needs, they can roll the money over, we're watching that.
Because that's what he said and I didn't. hear
I know that Dr. Forever was successful in helping us get funding in the past, so we'll keep an eye on that.
And also the one comment that you said about when you call 911, Union County sends the dispatch.
Yeah, we have a shared service agreement.
But
with-
not always, right? Like sometimes 911, I have called 911.
Depends if you're calling from a cell phone or a landline. If you're calling from a landline, you're gonna get Union County. Right now, I might dial 911 and it might hit Morris County because of Long Hill. But if you're calling from a landline, you're gonna, I mean, Catherine Rand knows way better than I do about
It
that.
depends on your location, what cell tower you're hitting.
You could be up near 78 and pick up the state police. You can get them out of, Somerville.
I have never, like when my grandmother had an emergency or something, it was always the local people that came, not.
So the county or the state police dispatch our police department. But back in the day, in the old terrible building, we had a small, very antiquated dispatch center. So we had our own, in fact, both of these gentlemen started as dispatchers, as a matter of fact. But we could never keep up with the technology. So as the county was building up their shared service, repertoire, and we were building this building, we could save money by sending it to dispatch. So it's always goes, you will always get a Berkeley Heights police officer, I can say that safely, but you may be calling, you're usually calling the county, you may be calling state police, or I guess potentially.
Depends where you're at.
Yeah, and they would be transferred to. county
Right,
dispatch.
and then they dispatch the police out to the location. Last call for everybody.
Last call.
Last call.
It's not even 2 AM in the morning.
I go to bed early, Tom, sorry.
All right, I'm doing this from memory. I see, it seems like the library appropriation jumped about 400,000. Since that's the
Appropriation or their millage.
village,
Yeah.
a third of a mill.
Yeah.
400,000.
Yeah.
They surely don't need 400,000.
Keeping an eye on it,
What?
keeping an eye on it.
Well,
Help us.
what?
You help us keep an eye on it.
Yeah, and I did see some, I think in the prior year, some of the money came back. So I'm expecting some more will come back. But 400,000, there's no way they can use 400,000.
One would think not.
So you are on, well, you're
I-
a designee.
The mayor has a seat on the library board, but I can designate, so I've in the past have, and I think I just recently did again, but we're aware of it. Liza's painfully aware of it.
Yeah.
When she has to make all those cuts and she sees all the money coming into the library. We love the library, they do great things, but yeah,
Yeah,
to be fair.
and let's see, police vehicles, I think you're spending about 76,000 for an SUV for one
That's
car.
probably about right, right?
It's not for the SUV, Tom, that's for the completely upfitted.
Yeah, but 76,000 for a police vehicle total, right?
Is that right?
Yeah,
Probably
about
half of that is technology that
Little
goes
car
into
costs
the.
one too.
Well, I mean, what's the cost of the car off the lot?
approximately about that 44 number of the state contract pricing. They typically double with the upfit.
How long do you use a police vehicle before you roll it off to another department?
We just rolled off the cars that were probably from 2012, I would say. Approximately. We rolled them off to engineer.
So over 20 years,
2012.
14 years.
14.
14 years.
14 years.
2012. Oh, yeah.
Constant police use, you're talking.
And then, yeah,
Too many
like,
numbers.
that's a long time use of car.
Yeah.
About 500,000 miles each.
You only have, at any given time, about 4 officers on the road, right? So that's 4, and then you have 4 sitting at the school, so that's 8, but you have 20 vehicles,
Detectives.
right? So
And
every
there's
detective
24/7.
has to have a car ready to go. 20 vehicles and about 8 are on the road or in use at any one time.
8
But
or
you
more than
wanna
8?
rush them,
Yeah.
you can't
What?
run a car 24/7.
Right.
You can't run a car 24/7.
Yeah, detectives, you have,
You have officers, you have numerous officers on trust work.
you have, officers on, trust jobs,
Yeah.
traffic jobs throughout the town. And then you have the ones in the schools.
You could have 10 or 12 cars on the road at any given time.
We have Route 78 running.
And if you run, and if you switch them out every 12 hours, 24 cars, so you're already 4 over.
Like I said, yesterday we had 1 car in the lot. Sir.
All right. You're off the hook for now.
Being no one else, I move to
I
close.
second that.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Sorry. Mr.
Yes.
Foster. Mr. Machado,
Yes.
Mr. Moran,
Emphatic, yes.
Mrs. Pope.
Yes.
Okay. Did everybody watch?
Yes.
Small, good.
All right, I move to adopt consent agenda consisting of resolutions 2026-147 through 2026-155. These resolutions will be approved in one motion.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Foster.
Yes.
Mr. Machado.
Yes.
Mr. Moran,
Yes.
Mrs. Pope.
Yes.
Madam Clerk, can you read the next ordinance?
Ordinance 2026-06, adopting an ordinance to prorate retail food establishment license fees for new business owners and establish a fee for expired licenses.
I move that the ordinance as read by the clerk be offered on first reading, that April 21st, 2026 be set as the date for the public hearing, and that the clerk be directed to advertise said ordinance according to law.
I second that.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Foster.
Yes.
Mr. Machado.
Yes.
Mr. Moran,
Yes.
Mrs. Pope.
Yes.
Discussion.
Township council reports. Council President
Out
Oscar.
of the gate, I'm gonna put myself on the clock here since I don't wanna. Where it already is. On Friday, February, 8th February, oh my God. Yeah. Got numbers on the brain too.
Times.
2026 Highlander Band Basket Raffle will be up at the high school. Doors open at 6:30, drawings at 8:30. Entrance fee is $15, includes one block of 15 tickets and a door prize ticket. Reach out to gmail.com. They have over 125 baskets full of great prizes, including electronics, lottery tickets, designer handbags, theater tickets, gift cards, etc. So come on out and support the band. I just want to point out that this month is Autism Awareness Month. And in observance to raise awareness, promote acceptance, to educate people, foster basic understanding of the autism spectrum disorder. Since we're on the library, this may be fitting. National Library Week is going to be celebrated April 19th to the 25th, 2026. National Library Day was actually yesterday, Monday, April 6th. So I also want to point out that our library is doing some great things out here. They just had a ribbon cutting for early literacy area and play kitchen. It's a space designed to spark imagination, build foundational skills, and deepen the community's connection to its library. National Library Day also gives a chance to celebrate more than books on the shelf, the silence. It's a reminder of what libraries really are. Folks have access to knowledge, community, and opportunity. Also, if you go on their website, they got some great things coming up for April. Well, yeah, it's probably over now, but they had a flower arranging class day.
It's actually right as I was
It's
walking
right-
in.
it's
Yeah.
As we speak, right now.
It's a great event.
And I want to point out something else, that on Mondays at 7 o'clock, you can learn to play mahjong with Council Vice President over there. She can show you how to.
The 27 people,
Nice.
bouncing around from table to table.
How to kick it.
Yeah.
How to kick it. National Librarian Day is a Thursday, April 13th, April 16th. The last one I've got here is kind of important. Volunteer Recognition Day is celebrated on April 20th to honor selfless contributions of volunteers worldwide. It's part of the broader National Volunteer Month for April. The April spring comes around, and everything's happening in the springtime. And it often aligns with National Volunteer Week, which runs from April 19th to the 25th in 2026. Just come out and volunteer. Donate, your time, your energy, be part of your community, make it a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bill.
Just want to say a few words. As we welcome the arrival of spring here in Berkeley Heights, I wanted to take a moment to reflect on a season that holds deep meaning for so many in our community. The recent observances of Passover and Easter alongside the spring equinox all share a common thread: renewal, hope, and new beginnings. They remind us of light overcoming darkness, of resilience, and of the opportunities to start fresh. Spring is not just a change in season, it's a reawakening. The trees begin to bloom, flowers push through the soil, and wildlife becomes more active as nature comes back to life around us. It's a powerful reminder that we are all connected, not just to each other, but to the environment we share. And as a community, we should enjoy the warmer weather and longer days. I encourage all of us to be mindful of our local wildlife. This is a critical time for many animals as they search for food, build nests, and care for their young. Simple actions like driving cautiously, securing trash, and respecting natural habitats can make a meaningful difference. Just as these holidays call on us to reflect on compassion, renewal, and responsibility, we can carry those values into how we treat one another and the world around us. A strong community is measured not only by how we support our neighbors, but also by how we respect and protect the environment we all depend on. Berkeley Heights is a special place, not just because of its people, but because of the balance we share with nature. Let's continue to move forward together with kindness, fairness, and a shared sense of responsibility. Wishing everyone a season filled with sunshine, renewed energy, and fresh perspectives.
Thank you, Bill. Andrew.
I'd just like to thank Liza, her team for putting the budget together. I know that it's no easy task. She was presented with a lot of challenges. I think she did an excellent demonstration, presentation taking care of that. So I thank you. Other than that, I will bank the rest of my time for the next meeting.
Very good. I think
Vice
her.
President. No, you can't.
So really exciting news. We received the Healthy Town designation. There's 3 levels of designation from the Mayor's Wellness Campaign. We finally got the top one. So thank you to all the Mayor's Wellness Campaign committee members and all the activities that we've been doing. And if you haven't come to one of our events yet, please come. They're really a lot of fun. You get to meet all the people in your community. So when you hear on the Spice Up Peppertown Park grant, no news is good news. I did submit the grant for the structural turnout gear for the firefighters. Our first responders put their lives on the line every day to save people in distress. It's essential they have rescue equipment. If it can take a little burden off Liza and her budget, we're trying to do that. I'm currently looking into a historical preservation or historical program grant and another grant for the firefighters. And I want to give a shout out to Steve Corellis, who emailed me, and he informed me about a program available via Tom Kane's office. There are federal grants to support local fire departments, so I'm looking into that. Yeah. On April 25th, I'll be attending a land use symposium at RDCC, where there'll be roundtables on affordable housing and general land use for board members. So stay tuned for my notes on that. And I just want to talk about a little bit about the DEP. So rain, snow, melting snow, it has pollution directly into our local waterways. And when water flows over our lawns, parking lots, streets, it creates what we call stormwater runoff. And we know in Berkeley Heights that we have some flooding issues. The water travels through gutters, catch basins, storm drains, and ditches. And here's the important part. It usually flows straight into our streams, rivers, and lakes without any treatment. So as it travels, it picks up all these unwanted items: fast food wrappers, cigarette butts, styrofoam cups, motor oil, antifreeze, fertilizer, pesticide, pet waste. The result, polluted water that harms fish and wildlife. It damages natural habitats, contaminates our drinking water, and even closes some of the beaches locally. But the good news is we all have the power to make a difference. Most stormwater pollution comes from everyday human activities. Whatever we put on the ground or into storm drains finds its way into our water. It means each of us has an important role in keeping these contaminants out. The quality of our water depends on the choices we make every day. So simple things you could do. We all know reduce, reuse, recycle. But be a good neighbor. If you see trash or litter on your property and dispose of it, you're helping your community. If you're out and about, always use your public trash cans. Protect our storm drains. Never, ever, ever throw litter or debris directly into storm drains. And this also means leaves. Do not rake your leaves into storm drains. That's not where they go. This trash ends up in our waterways and it's blocking up our drains, and it leads to street flooding and traffic backup. And that is cigarette butts too, right? Driving along and they come flicking out the window. They end up in our water and clogging up our drains. And if you haven't heard about fatbergs yet, look up fatbergs. And that's really all I have, but we all can do a small part. If we all do something small every day, it does make a difference. So thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
I don't have a written report tonight, thanks to softball in Mississippi and throughout Union County. I do want to mention, I want to thank the council for your hard work on the budget because it starts in the small groups and I know that you all work very hard on this. Of course, Liza and Diane, I know it has not been easy. I think in 8 years, this has been our toughest budget. With the least amount of time to deal with the issues that we were confronted with. And I know, I think up until Friday, I saw you were feverishly trying to make cuts and
This morning.
I was going this morning, but yeah. So I know it was hard work and I know we thank you, but I personally thank you. We got some good news about the regional flooding appropriation that we put in through Congressman Kane's office. He's putting it forward. So every congressperson gets 20. So it's very limited funding on what they and they're very judicious in what they decide to even put forward. So ours was one of them. We'll be the lead agency along with Summit, Long Hill, Chatham, and Providence. Yeah. So that was exciting news to hear about today. A lot of work ever since the July 14th storm and sort of making something really materialize. Mayor's wellness campaign, reforming this a little bit, but Tai Chi is 4/25. That's International Tai Chi and Qigong Day. 4/25 at 10 a.m. in the Memorial Pavilion. This will be our fourth or fifth year of doing this. So it's always a great event. We get a lot of older adults that come out for that one. So join us. It's a nice, just a half an hour. It's really nice. We're going to do a Rainworks event in partnership with the library. And what that will be is there'll be inspirational stencils with special paint that will spray on sidewalks. And when it rains, you'll see the inspirational message. So only when it rains. So that would be a nice event going into Mental Health Awareness Month for May. And finally, book club is at Delicious Heights at 7 p.m. this Thursday. We are reading or have read Meditations for Mortals.
Next Thursday.
You sure? It's the second Thursday of the month.
Yeah, this is the first. I'm pretty sure it's next Thursday.
Second and the ninth. This is the second Thursday.
I don't know. I thought it said.
You better get reading that
15.
book.
Yeah.
Meditation for Mortals. It's a short book. It's like a daily, I don't know, 4 or 5 pages. And it sounds like an intimidating title, but it's actually a great read. And the author is British, very, very witty, very funny writing. Even if you can't join us for book club, go ahead and read that book because it's great. Are we sure that this is the second Thursday? Okay. I guess
Maybe because of spring break, it changed things.
Okay.
All right, so I'm not crazy, all right.
All right, it's the 16th. Go to Delicious Heights anyway.
On the
Thursday.
16th, every Thursday. Yeah.
Patronize Delicious Heights because we should. All right. That's all I have for tonight. Liza?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the comments on the budget. You know, this is really truly a group effort. I think the police chief and I were on the phone every other hour over the weekend because both of our brains with our ADHD is just going crazy. And we're like, let's look at this. Let's go line by line. Let's find something we can cut. You know, our DPW foreman says, how can I help? Our construction official is trying to come up with creative ideas, you know, where we can maybe pull some expenses out. So it really is a group effort. And just a note on capital, I can only speak for the 8 years I've been here, but there has never once been a capital item on any budget I have presented to council that is not needed. In fact, we need at least triple of what is on our capital budget in any given year. When we put off important items year after year, it leads to budget disaster. This is what we've been trying to slowly but surely dig ourselves out of over the past few years. When you put off necessary infrastructure, when I say infrastructure, I mean investing in our vehicle fleet, you know, roads, it comes to a disaster point where all of a sudden it's catastrophe and you're having to borrow millions of dollars more to just make up for that catastrophe. So you have to invest as you go. So this is what we were trying to do. This is what the purpose of the capital improvement plan is. There is a caveat on the budget document, the capital improvement plan. Some of those items, some of those numbers are placeholders. And we revisit that capital improvement plan year after year, but at least triple, our needs are at least triple of what we actually ask for in any given year. Our spring chipping program started this week. I know there's been some growing pains, so to speak, with the new rules, but we had to scale the program differently to continue it at all this year, given that we're also increasing preparations for rainy season, getting the street sweeper out more, cleaning and repairing more storm drains, clearing streams. Already this week, this approach is proving to be more efficient, but we are collecting observations and feedback from residents and we'll consider it going forward. So I thank all the residents for your patience. Again, bulk pickup begins May 4th. We're moving forward with our grant application, I mentioned before, for $4 million through the New Jersey Water Vapor Sewer projects. And then we have various grant applications in the works. I think the 250th anniversary for Littell Lord, pedestrian safety, some fire equipment and some other things. This is grant season right now, so there'll be some more probably resolutions coming before council authorizing us to apply for these grants. So thank you. And thank you as always to council for being supportive of our budget efforts. We did, yes, in the small group, we take all your feedback, we make revisions as necessary. So it really is a full team effort. So thank you.
Thank you, and thank you everybody for your township reports now for the long resolution.
Just accept and approve.
No, it's a-
What we used to do.
well, we've done everything.
Here we go. Whereas the provision of the Oklahoma Act NJSA 10:4-1 at sec expressly provide that the public body be moved into executive session and exclude the public from that portion of the meeting in which the public body discusses any of the 9 set areas in NJSA 10:4-12B. And whereas the Township Council of the Township of Berkeley Heights has determined it necessary to move into executive session to discuss the following subjects, which are included in the aforesaid exceptions: contract negotiations, 3 acres, potential litigation. Now therefore be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Berkeley Heights that it does hereby move into executive session pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12B to discuss the aforesaid matters. And it is further resolved that the aforesaid discussions shall be made public either at the public meeting following said executive session or at any such time as any litigated or personnel matters are concluded or upon conclusion of any negotiations or related discussions or as otherwise specified. And is further resolved, this resolution shall take effect pursuant to law.
Have a second? Second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Foster.
Yes.
Mr. Machado.
Yes.
Mr. Moran.
Yes.
Mrs. Pope.
Yes. Okay, we will now go into executive session. We will take no further legislative action when we return other than to adjourn the meeting.